These are the 17 best MetaQuest 3 games that are real hidden gems and that you don't want to miss out on. So let's dive right into it. And starting it off, we have number 1, which is Into Black. Now this is a first-person action-adventure game that will take you on a trip towards a mysterious alien planet. And here, you'll be scavenging for materials and hunting down whatever lives there, all in hopes for you to try and fix your ship and get out of there. However, besides just playing it solo, the best way to experience this is to play through the entire campaign in co-op together with your friends. But that gets us to number 2, which is Elements Divided. And this is best described as Avatar: The Last Airbender in VR, but then with PvP matches. Since in it, you'll be bending the elements while you're trying to survive and take down your opponents, with a max of 8 players in the same arena at any given time. And since this game is now quickly getting more popular, you can be sure to always find at least some crazy strong players to battle it out against. And on number 3, we have Ghost Town. Now this is a single player puzzle adventure that is made by the creators behind the famous game series known as The Room. And that means that in this, you can expect a lot of unique VR interactions and out-of-the-box thinking that you will definitely need to even be able to solve all of its mysteries. But on top of that, it is mainly the graphics itself that also look really nice and crisp on that Quest 3 screen. But moving on, we got number 4, which is Swarm 2. Now this is the sequel to the popular roguelike shooter, in which you will have your own grappling guns that will let you fly across its levels like you're Spider-Man himself. And all that, while the game also has some cool comic book art style to it. But just keep in mind though, that the experience itself can be pretty intense. So if you're new to VR, then you might want to wait a little bit longer before jumping into this one. And on number 5, we got Endless Wonder, which is a mind-bending VR platformer that has you combine and use its magic sticks for both its combat as well as the traversal. But besides just having some really cool level designs, the gameplay also mixes in the old school Subway Surfer feeling with an arcade-style-like boss battler. And since you will be using your arms all the time for all of its interactions, Gorilla Tech players will directly feel right at home here. And for those more hardcore VR gamers, there are also a bunch of secrets and collectibles to find throughout its trials, and it will really test out your skills. And of course, I will also make sure to leave the link to this one and all the other games in this video, together with some nice discounts, down in the description below, so make sure you don't miss out on that. But moving on, we have number 6, which is Deadly Delivery. And the first thing that you have probably already noticed is that this game has a very special looking art style to it. But besides that, in here, you and some random other people will be tasked to deliver a parcel into its pitch black dungeons that are full of some strange things and monsters. However, it is the co-op part of this game that has you work together with some other online players that makes this game so much more fun and chaotic. Just be prepared for some big jump scares though, every now and then. And on number 7 is Arcane Age. Now this is a fantasy single-player adventure that will put you into this beautiful sci-fi looking world with some of the craziest and most badass enemies and weapons that you can think of. Although, besides just its big campaign mode that will take you easily over 10 hours to finish, it is mostly known for its insane boss fights and deep combat mechanics. But while it normally costs about $30, it often gets some huge reductions, such as during the short month Big Sale for Meta right now, that can save you nearly 50% in total. So if you're thinking of getting it, just make sure to save yourself a couple of bucks while doing so. And number 8 is the House of Da Vinci VR. And this is for all those escape room lovers out there that just want to take up their immersion and experience a bit further. Because instead of just your standard puzzles, most of the challenges in here are based on the actual inventions from Da Vinci himself. And that, while also mixing in ways of solving them that just aren't possible without virtual reality. However, sadly not many people know about this title at all. But if you just want to take a more direct approach, instead of solving the puzzles the correct way, then we also have number 8, which is known as Fixer Undercover. Because in here, you'll be making the solutions to the escape room yourself by using power tools like a drill or an angle grinder instead. And while you are embodying an agent that tries to break into this high-level prison, you will also be followed around by your friendly drone partner during this, who will try to help you out before you start and destroy the entire level. And on number 10 is Spatial Ops. Now, unlike the other games on this list, this is a mixed reality game that will turn your own living room into a full-on battlefield. And the cool thing is that because of this, you'll be able to use things like your real-life furniture to dodge and hide from the incoming fire. But besides just playing this in multiplayer, Spatial Ops also has a story-based solo campaign mode if that is something that you're more interested in. However, if you're looking for a more relaxing game, then we got number 11, known as Battle Marked. Because this is the first official Dungeons & Dragons game that is specifically made for virtual reality. And just like with a real D&D game, you'll be able to create your own character, roll some dice, and follow throughout its entire story in this turn-based RPG. But with the unique twist is that there is also a deck builder part to it that lets you use these special card abilities so that you can quickly power up your spells or change the tide of battle completely. But that gets us to number 12, and that is All-in-One Sports. Now this is pretty much Wii Sports in VR, but then with a lot of more options to choose from. And that also makes this a great game if you just want to jump into it for a couple of minutes and try out a brand new sports each time you're there. But before we get to the next 5 must-play hidden gem VR games that you really don't want to miss, let's first have a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Because none other than Cat VR, who are known for creating VR treadmills that look like they come straight out of Ready Player One, are once again taking virtual reality to the next level. Because while we are normally limited by the boundary system inside our VR experiences, it is Cat VR that has created these VR treadmills that let you run and jump without any limitation. And since their most recent version, which is known as the C2 Plus Enhanced, is compatible with every VR headset that you can think of, it is also often considered as the dream upgrade for any VR user. And they even go so far that it has things like haptic feedback built into it, as well as a vehicle hub, which will make it feel even more realistic when you're racing on a track or flying through the sky. And as a cherry on top, you can also use the code VRelity for a whopping $130 off on your entire purchase. So for those who are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. And that gets us to number 13, which is Reach. Now this action-adventure game will have you jump and climb across all of its levels, while you're also using its cool abilities and weapons, such as a bow and arrow, to fight your way throughout it. But by far the best part is that the graphics look absolutely insane on the MetaQuest 3 headset. However, on launch, the game sadly did still have a lot of bugs and glitches that mostly got fixed with some recent updates. But it is something that you might run into. And at number 14, we have Wizard. And as the name already implies, this is a magic-wielding dungeon crawler that will have you sling some powerful spells at waves upon waves of enemies. But while the graphics are definitely nothing to write home about, just like with some other popular titles such as Animal Company or UGG, it is the gameplay in here that can get really addictive. And on number 15 is Frost Survival. Now this is a full-on sandbox survival experience that takes place on a huge map. And in it, you will first have to craft your own hideout to protect yourself against the cold, as well as against the dangers that come out at night. However, while this might look nice and cozy, you will quickly notice that some sinister things are going on in the background. And at number 16 is Undead Citadel. Now this is a real physics-driven combat game that is not for the faint of heart. Because in here, you will be wielding some gruesome weapons against zombie-like creatures with lots and lots of gore happening all over the place. So if that is exactly what you're looking for, then you will have more than enough of it in here. But moving on, we got number 17, which is Legendary Tales. And yes, this is the full-on VR action RPG that got ported over from PC VR, and it is now finally playable from start to finish on the Quest headsets. And that means that in it, you will be fighting against loads of skeletons, while you also have to craft your own gear to perfection to even be able to survive throughout all of its dungeons. But that is not all, because there are also a lot of awesome, completely free games that you can play inside of VR chat. So click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out on that. And of course, stay awesome.